Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, double honor to Apostle GMS. This is Amel Allah coming at you in the video. This video, Lord, will be short, sweet. I'm basically gonna go into feeling spiritually weak and about building up in the spirit and things like that. So let's get right to it. This is the book of Matthew chapter 17, verse Matthew chapter 17, verse 15. Lord, have mercy on my son. So this is a man that wanted his son healed. Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic. So he had demons on him, spirits on him, and so vexed. For all times he falleth into the fire and often into the water. And so sometimes he get burned, sometimes he fall into the water. So he was basically he had demons on him, he had spirits on him, had bad judgment. Sometimes he fall into the fire, sometimes he fall into the water. And I bring him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. The Yahushua answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. So right then and there, he called them faithless. So let's look, we got to keep that in mind. And Yahushua rebuked the devil, he rebuked the demon that was on that boy, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. So the child was cured that very hour. Then came the disciples to Yahushua apart, and said, Why could not we cast him out? And Yahushua said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, verily meaning truly, so they couldn't cast him out because they couldn't cast the demon out because they had unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, not literally the size of a mustard seed, meaning if you had a small amount of faith, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove thence to yonder place, and it shall remove. Meaning, if you had a small amount of faith, you'll tell a mountain to be able to move beyond, to move from one place to the next. In other words, you'll be able to move mountains, not literally but figuratively. Meaning, with a small amount of faith, like a mustard seed, you'll be able to move mountains, or rather, you'll be able to do great works, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. So, fasting and prayer is important to build up your faith. And faith is necessary for us to do great things. It's necessary for the building up of our spirit. Okay, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So if you're feeling weak in the spirit, you gotta have faith that the Most High will build your spirit back up. You gotta have faith that whatever it is that's causing you to feel weak in the spirit, the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushua will remove that. And it says this can go from the out by prayer and fasting. So you gotta pray and you gotta fast. Meaning 24 hours, no eating, no drinking, anything. Some of y'all guys don't even pray, man. Y'all just got these spiritual lows or whatever. You be like, hey, well, I don't know. The Most High gonna do something. Y'all just go on with y'all lives. Spirit telling me some of y'all guys do that. You feeling low spiritual. You just, oh, well, Most High gonna do something. And then you just, just keep just living regular, hoping that one day the demon that's on you is gonna jump off because it's gonna feel like it. That's not how this thing works. A demon is not gonna get tired like, damn, man. I've been here for 6 months and then just leave. It don't work that way. The demons don't got a lease on your body, man. Like the demon only gonna be there for 6 months and now the lease is up and they just gonna hop off. No, you gotta pray and you gotta fast. So the Most High can remove that demon off of you, man. Remove that spirit. Go through the Psalms. Look at the Psalms that's similar to what you're going through. You might read Psalms 27th chapter. You know what I'm saying? It's a Psalms where David's praying to the Most High about the Most High being his protection, the Most High being his help, the Most High putting him on a high rock. If you're on a high rock, are you away from danger? You're away from distress. Like when the flood comes and people flee to high ground. So you might put some Psalms up, Psalms the 51st chapter, things of that nature. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and in the power of his might. So we got to be in power of his might. The might of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, not our might. Why? Because what's that? 2 Corinthians 10 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the book of Corinthians, 10th chapter. It says, see the first and 2 Corinthians says, scripture says, for the methods of our warfare are not carnal. So the methods of our warfare aren't carnal, guns, knives, hands. No. Carnal meaning the flesh. The methods of our warfare are spiritual. So we got to be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might, his strength. Put on the whole armor of the Most High. What's the armor of the Most High? The scriptures. So you got to be in the scriptures too, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, the tricks of the devil. That's what wiles are. Wiles are tricks. Okay? You know? Let's go to that word there, wiles in the Greek.
Strong's G 3180. Methodia.
Methodia. Cunning arts, deceit, craft, trickery. So that you can be able to stand against the wiles of the trickery, the cunning arts, deceit, craft, and trickery of the devil. You know, because if you're going through spiritual lows and you're not praying and fasting, that's a trick of the devil. That's them demons on you, preventing you from praying and fasting, so that you won't have Yahweh Shem Yahshua remove that spirit from off of you. Let's get another scripture. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. A high place. Okay? So these are high level demons, man. That's what we wrestle against. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, like someone in the Olympics. We don't physically wrestling. We're wrestling spiritually. It's a constant war, it's a constant battle. Okay? And a good tool is the armor of the Lord, which is what? This word, man. That's a tool. That's a tool that protects us. And that's what the scripture says. This is the armor. Because when you read the scriptures, it's giving you a guideline of what it is that you're supposed to do. It gives you that guideline. And if you're not in tune with these scriptures, when you're going through certain situations, it's gonna result in you being carnal. You gotta understand that. Oftentimes, whenever you get into a carnal situation, it's because you're not applying the scriptures. That's what it really is. Even if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you're among brothers, and brothers get into some type of difference, or let's say an argument, for example, that really because more than likely you're having some kind of carnal discussion. You know why? Because carnal situations that's not spiritual, what does that do? Situations that are not spiritual brings forth situations that are not spiritual causes for a person to express their opinion. And opinions can always be debated. But if you're having a spiritual conversation, guess what? All things are spiritual that you're speaking of. Therefore, the scriptures, you can always go back to that. That's the thing about it. People got to understand. You're getting into something, let's say it's with a brother. If I get into an argument or some type of difference or whatever, let's say an argument, it's because y'all more than likely are having a carnal discussion or something carnal is going on. And things that are carnal leaves room for opinion. And opinions can always be debated. But if you're dealing with something spiritual, guess what? It's nothing about that can be debated. Because even if somebody has a different point, you can always go back to the scriptures. So you always got to stay in tune with the scriptures. All right? Just using it as an example. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, meaning be clear-minded. Be vigilant, meaning aware. Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So we got to be sober. We got to be clear-minded. Our mind got to be clear of all things of this world, clear of all things that can be clouding our spiritual judgment. And we got to be vigilant, meaning we got to be aware. Because our adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Like how roaring lions walk along the plains of Africa or whatever land they're residing in, and they're seeking a meal, they're seeking something to devour. That's how Satan is. He's like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. Go back to Job, the first chapter. What did the Most High say to Satan? He said, Satan, whence comest thou? And Satan said, what? From walking to and fro on the earth and going up and down in it. It's not that the Most High didn't know where Satan was coming from. He already knew. But the Most High asked him that question so that could be written in the scripture so that we can be aware of what Satan does, going to and fro on the earth, up and down in it. But what was he doing going to and fro on the earth, up and down in it? Walking around like a lion, like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Okay? And that happens to us every day. Whenever you're going through a situation, whenever you're being tempted, that's Satan. You always got to go back to the scriptures, man. You know? And another thing, you gotta look for the spirit. Let me explain what I mean when I say look for the spirit. Obviously, the spirit finds you. But when I say, because, we're the ones that's lost, not Yahweh Shah. Not Yahweh Shem Yahshua. But when I say you got to look for the spirit, what I mean is you got to be around other spiritual men. You got to be around other spiritual men. The scriptures say, when two or more are gathered in my name, they am in the midst of thee. So if you by yourself, Satan can attack you. You got certain demons that can attack you. Obviously, if you're on a certain level in the spirit, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But depending on what level you are in the spirit, your spirit will be able to overcome that. The Most High give you the spirit to overcome that. But if you're going through something spiritually and it's hard for your spirit to overcome it, then guess what? You should be in the presence of another brother that's in the spirit. Read the scriptures, watch a show. You know what I mean? If it's a brother that lives nearby, go see what that brother doing. You know what I mean? Be among that brother. Alright? Because this truth not a hangout. Don't get me wrong, you got brothers that's cool, brothers hang out, but this truth is not a clubhouse, man. This truth is not a clubhouse. Yeah, I'm going to this brother house to just hang out and just chill, hang out. There's nothing wrong with that, but this thing is a spiritual thing. And that's something that you should always remember. It says, whom resist steadfast in the faith. So you resist Satan being steadfast in the faith. Being steadfast is being grounded, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. So guess what? We got brethren that's out there that's going through the same thing we going through. So guess what? You're not alone. All right? You got to remember that. So other brothers out there going through what you're going through. Some are going through things that's not as bad. Some are going through things that's worse. Always got to keep that in mind. Always got to be spiritual, man. Always got to be spiritual. We in the flesh, and there's a constant war between the flesh and the spirit, but you always got to be spiritual. Sometimes the flesh is going to win. But if you remain close to your spiritual tether, this Bible is like a tether that attaches us to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Alright? It's like a spiritual rope. It's like a rope of salvation, like a person that's down, stuck in a well, and you cast down the rope so that they can grab onto it and you pull them up. That's how this Bible is, man. That's how this truth is, these scriptures. You got to be in tune with the scriptures. When you should be on a certain level in the spirit where where you're too far away from your base, where you're too far away from your fortress, your spiritual fortress, spiritual house, these scriptures. You should know, like, I didn't read in a little while. Let me read. Like I said before, these demons don't have a lease on your soul, man. It's not like these demons paying rent. Alright, it's 6 months, lease is up. Let me go to the next guy. No, they're gonna stay on you, man. They're gonna stay on you until you start praying and fasting and to have these demons be removed from you. Let's get another scripture. This is the book of Hebrews chapter 6 verse there's many more scriptures I wanted to get to, but I'm gonna stop it here. Hebrews chapter 6 verse, the point is in verse 11, but I'm gonna read verse 10. Start from 10. For the Most High is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, when ye have showed which ye have showed toward his name. So us doing his work, that's a labor of love that we show toward the Most High's name, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. Right, we minister to the saints and we do minister. We serve the saints by what? Teaching his word, putting up lessons, going out and teaching, building up the brothers in the spirit. And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence. So we got to show diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end. What does that mean? To show diligence. Look at the word diligent. Okay? See the word diligent mean in the Greek.
Strong's G 4710. Spoude.
Spoude. Haste, with haste, earnestness, diligence, earnestness in accomplishing, promoting, or striving after anything, to give all diligence, interest oneself most earnestly. Okay? You click on Vine's expository dictionary. It says haste, zeal, diligence, earnest care, carefulness. Okay? But basically what it goes into is X this out. It says to be haste, to be earnestness. When you're earnest, you have a strong desire. Earnestness in accomplishing, promoting, or striving for anything, to give all diligence. So diligence means to be earnest, to have a strong desire. Okay? So we gotta have earnestness. We desire that every one of you do show the same diligence, or do show the same earnestness, or the same diligence. So the same, or in other words, devotion. All right. If a person is earnest, they're devoted. Show the same earnest, show the same diligence, or show the same devotion to the full assurance of hope unto the end. To the full assurance of hope. What does that word right there mean? Full assurance.
Strong's G 4136. Pleirafaria.
Pledafaria. Full assurance, most certain confidence. So when it says assurance, it means confidence. Okay? So if you're showing diligence, or if you're being earnest, or if you're being devoted, then guess what? It says, and we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence, to show the same earnestness, or show the same devotion to the full assurance or confidence of hope unto the end. So guess what? If you're diligent, or if you're devoted, you're going to have full assurance, you're going to have confidence of hope unto the end. Because why? In the end, you're going to be hopeful in your diligence and your devotion, and be confident that you'll be delivered. It's going to build your faith up. You know, I did this, I did that, I did that, I did this, I did this, I did that. You're going to have in your mind, you know, I did the best that I could with the time that was given. All right? It says, that ye be not slothful. There's a certain scripture that popped in my mind. See if I could think about it. That ye be not slothful. Right, don't be slothful, don't be lazy, spiritually lazy. But followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises. So that's the men of old, the apostles and elders before us, and other brothers. Okay? Beginning with the apostles and elders, of course. There's a certain scripture that popped in my mind. I think it's in Ephesians. It popped in my mind when I said with the time that was given. I think it's in Ephesians. Bear me 1 second. Here's the scripture. It's the book of Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. It said, redeeming the time. I'll start from verse 15. Ephesians 5:15. See then that you walk circumspectly, meaning to look around. Circum, meaning like circumference. The circumference of a circle, which is 360 degrees. Spect means to look, like a spectator or a spectacle. See then you walk circumspectly, or you look around spiritually, but of course you look around you physically as well. Be aware of your surroundings. Not as fools, but as wise. So you gotta be wise. And part of being circumspect is looking inside yourself. Because guess what? Nobody, you know yourself. You should know yourself better than somebody else know yourself. The Most High knows you more than you know yourself. And what you know about yourself is a portion of what the Most High knows of you that He's given to you. What you know about yourself, the Most High knows you better than you know yourself, and what you know of yourself is what the Most High has given you. Okay? The part of things that you know about yourself, the Most High that's just part of the knowledge of what the Most High knows about you. Okay? So the Most High knows you better than your own self. Alright? He knows you better than your own self. And what you know of yourself, the Most High has given you that knowledge of yourself. And that's just a portion. What you know of yourself is just a portion of what the Most High knows you. So it says, but not as fools, but as wise. So in part of being wise is, you know yourself. You know yourself. You know if you do something, how you gonna feel after you do it. If you know after you do something, you're gonna feel like crap, then guess what? Don't do it. You know, it may be hard, but you gotta be spiritual. In this scripture, verse 16. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. Because the last scripture I said you did what you could do with the time that was given. When you look at the word redeeming in the Greek, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16.
Strong's G 1805.
Exagarazo. To redeem by payment of a price, to recover from the power of another, to ransom by oath, metaphorically, of Yahushua, freeing the elect from the dominion of the Mosaic law, at the price of his vicarious death, to buy up for oneself, for one's use, to make wise and sacred use of every opportunity for doing good, so that zeal and well-doing are as it were the purchase money by which we make the time our own. So when it says redeeming the time, you're making wise and sacred use of every opportunity. Every time, every chance you get, you're making wise and sacred use of that time. That's how you redeem it. But you're making wise and sacred use of every opportunity for doing good, so that the zeal or the devotion and well-doing are as it were the purchase money by which we make time our own. So your zeal, your devotion, your well-doing is like purchase money. Purchase money is money that you're using to purchase something. But what you're purchasing is time. You're purchasing time and using that time wisely, using that time with sacred use for doing what's good. So that's what your devotion is likened unto. Your zeal and your well-doing is likened unto money that you're using to buy time to do righteousness, to make wise and for sacred use. And when you read down, when it says Strong's definition, let me go back real quick. This video is longer than I intended through the spirit, but hey, somebody need to hear this. It says to buy up. Strong's definition right here. It says to buy up, i.e. ransom, figuratively to rescue from loss, improve opportunity, redeem. So you're not losing out on that time. You're not losing out on that time because you're buying that time. If a person say, yo, I'm going to do this to buy time, then you're using your time to do something while you have that time. You know what? It's still going to take an hour. But, I'm just going to walk over here real quick to buy some time. You're using up that time to do something. And what we're doing with this time is pushing his word. Because the days are evil, right? These days are evil and they're short. And the last verse, it just says, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the word of the Lord is. And the word of the Lord, pursuing the book of Ecclesiastes 12th chapter, is to fear the Most High and keep His commandments. This is the whole duty of man. Okay, we got to do the will of the Most High. And the will that we're doing in this time is teaching the word of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. So whatever you're going through, pray, fast, stay attached to the scriptures. Be in the company of other brothers to build your spirit up. And refrain from anything in the world that you feel is holding you back from doing what's right through the spirit. Stay away from that temptation. Have in your mind how you're going to feel after you do something. And if you know after you do something you're going to feel jacked up, then don't do it. You should know yourself better. You should know yourself. All right? You should know yourself better than someone else does. So with that, I'm going to close and say, oh, praise the Yahweh Shem Yahshai, double line, say Apostle GMS, and I hope brothers learn something. Shalom.